Hey, what's going on, guys? We're back with the next part of our Learning C# tutorial series, and today we're going to go ahead and try and finish off. If not, we'll get a good chunk done of our credits manager. We're going to pick up where we left off, and we're going to need a new public float, and we'll call this traverse time, and this will be the time for an object to traverse the screen. And it'll be global throughout all of our credit objects. Next thing, we're going to go ahead and handle using the setting the screen ratio for all of these guys. So we'll go ahead and first we'll do a for each credit object C in credits, and let's go ahead and we'll set the ratio to 0. Okay, so what we'll do is, and actually one more thing I forgot to do, is in here we'll make a public float of delay time. So this is the time before the next object can be displayed on the screen. So first what we'll do is C dot screen ratio is equal to, in fact, we'll say 0 for now. Next thing we're going to do, hold on one second, guys. Next thing we're going to do is move the first object up. So we'll do, instead of a for each, we'll do a for index. So if the index is less than credits dot length, index plus plus. The next thing we're going to do is, this is called for every object. So we'll do, for the first one, we'll go ahead and start to begin moving it up. So we'll make a new coroutine where we're going to begin, let's say begin motion, passing in that index. In fact, we need a start coroutine begin motion. And then we're going to go ahead and do a yield return new wait for seconds, passing in that credits sub index dot delay time. And then that's it. So now we'll go ahead and flush out this begin motion. Enumerator begin motion, taking in an int of index. And we're going to do while true. In fact, we're going to go ahead and actually, well, never mind. We'll keep that 0 for now. But we'll go ahead and say we'll say the float of, well, float max distance equals screen dot height. In fact, before we even do this, I keep getting through half the code before I wanted to stop it. But the formula we're going to use again, I think we've talked about it before, is speed equals distance divided by time. And this is something you'd think, why would we use that for something like this? And what we're going to do is the speed. So instead of using max distance, we'll do float speed equals the distance, which is the screen dot height, divided by that traverse time. And so now we have the speed of this object here. But we're probably not going to use it. This is why I didn't call it speed in the first place. What we're going to use is run these calculations a few times and go ahead and actually move it up in the first place. But actually, in order to move it up, we want to move it up with the correct speed. So what we'll do is we'll do credits sub index, which we have because we passed in that index as a parameter, dot screen ratio plus equals speed times time dot delta time. So this is similar to like the things we've done in 3D world space, and it's probably weird to think about it in 2D space because this is a GUI function, but this is an object nonetheless, and it should function the same way, as long as it just depends on the way we handle it. And now our screen ratio is being added to, and in fact we're going to do, instead of a while true, which will loop for every second, we'll do while this is less than, and we'll just do 1.5f. And you could do 1, but I'm going to give it a little bit of leeway, so it can get above the screen if it needs to, and then it'll destroy this object. And we're going to go ahead and do a yield return null, so we wait a frame, so we're not hanging on this loop here. In fact, what we're going to do, well, we can keep that in here. If we wanted to be super conservative, we can go ahead and calculate the speed as a variable, a global variable, so we don't have to keep calculating it. But it's not that big of a deal because there's only going to be, you know, so many. We only have 3 credits, so this is only a calculation that's run 3 times. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and try and finish off some of this. Excuse me, some of this GUI functionality. And what we'll do is a for each credit object C in credits, similar to what we have for our credits routine. And what we'll do this time is we're going to display an object based on what it has set for its screen ratio. And so what we'll do is we'll do a GUI dot label with a new rectangle. And one thing we're actually going to do before this is we're going to make, instead we've been passing in strings usually, but for this we're going to pass in a new GUI content G is equal to new GUI content, and then pass in that C dot text, and then okay, well, we're going to want to add in a style in a little bit, but for now we're just going to keep it simple. And then we can go ahead and actually do another calculation, vector2, and we're going to call this v equals a new, or equals g dot, what is it? Nope, not in our g. It's going to be used from the style. So we'll do a style dot calc size, passing in that c dot text. Okay, so let's comment this out, because that's both going to be moving into something I want to cover in a future tutorial. For now, we'll just pass in, what the heck, we'll pass in 250 from the left. From the top, we'll go ahead and do screen dot height times that c dot screen ratio. So if we're at 0, it'll be the screen dot height times 0, which is 0, which will be at the top. Oh, okay, we need to do screen dot height minus that. And pass in some parentheses there. Screen dot height minus 0, and then if we have 1, it'll be screen dot height times 1, which will be at the very top. Next we want the width. For now we'll just pass in, I don't know, 300, and then the height will pass in 200. And then for the label object we'll just pass in c dot text. Okay, so that's simple enough. Eventually we're going to have to add in some sort of style for each of these enums, and then that's about it. So let's go ahead and test this out real quick. Okay, now let's go ahead and attach on this, what do we call it, credits manager. We'll say the traverse time to pass the screen, we'll say 5 seconds. Let's go ahead and add it in. Give it a second. Okay, let's go ahead and add in the credits here. Now, for now we have a simple object where we just pass in text. Eventually we want to pass in a thing where we have another nested class where we can pass in the name, the asset, the usage, and the link. For now we have to do them automatically, so I'm going to pause the video just because this is mindless typing. Okay, we're back, and I've just added in 5 of them. I had it in the first one and I got lazy, so I'll add in the next off screen. Let's go ahead and test it out. We hit play, and we're streaming. And one thing I forgot to mention is we're actually messing up our logic here, because you'll notice here we're creating the speed variable. We store the speed to traverse across the screen in pixel space. However, we're treating it here and not as pixel space, but as a ratio. And in fact, if you go and debug this, your speed should be somewhere around 2 point whatever if you use the default Unity viewport. And then that's not what we want. We want it. Well, it is what we want. However, we're treating it as a ratio. So instead of as a ratio, we're going to go ahead and just change it to screen pixels, and then we'll go ahead and rename it all. And then here, instead of doing screen to height times screen pixels, we can just go ahead and do screen to height minus screen pixels. And that, in fact, it's actually less complicated than we had it before. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on this one here. It'll let me, okay. Hit play, and give it a second. Now one other thing I forgot to do is we're also in here, we're checking to see if our screen pixels is less than 1 point whatever. That's also a ratio value, so we need to change that to screen dot height. In fact, we'll just do plus 100, so once again we have a little cushion there to use. And now we can go ahead and hit play. And here we go. We now have our credit system working. And now in the next video, we're going to dive into this a little bit more. We talk about some GUI content, some vector 2 analysis of our pixel space, as well as some styles. We might actually change from an enumeration to a some sort of well. No, we'll keep it as an enumeration, and it'll reference a style list. And then one other thing we wanted to do was, well, I can't remember. So I'll see you guys next time.